Hey everybody, it's Kneecap here, and in this video we have some pretty big news regarding the housing feature that's going to be coming in, I believe, Midnight or the very end of this expansion, heading into Midnight. And yeah, they released a lot of stuff kind of letting us know how it's going to be. Some of it's kind of cool, and let's go through it now and see what we have in store. So the first thing is just saying, hey, we're going to give you a bunch of information. Then we have fortifying housing with pillars. So they're going to have pillars that are kind of like their backbone of what they're looking to do in their design. And then they're going to give us the 3 pillars here. This is just a mock-up of artwork that might look like in like an orc themed home, maybe, perhaps. I guess a human themed could be this way too. I just see a bunch of the red stuff. Boundless self-expression. Our highest priority is allow players to build a house that shows off their personal taste or their warbands, acts as desired backdrop for role-playing, or just allows players to create something in flight or fancy. The tool set should be easy enough for someone with 3D experience to be comfortable with and use successfully, but it should also be powerful enough that players can surprise us with their creations or drill down to the tiniest details just right. The gamut of decor options spans not just the cultures of Azeroth, but the many expansions of World of Warcraft as well. Deeply social. World of Warcraft is more fun with other players. The housing should be no different. While players can enjoy housing purely on their own, its systems are designed at a fundamental level to encourage interacting, playing, and progressing with friends, neighbors, guilds, and the wider community in a meaningful way. And then long-lasting journey. Housing is being built as an evergreen addition to the game with its own roadmap reaching across multiple patches into future expansions. Housing isn't something players should expect to finish, but instead continually look forward to the next housing release, be it new content or systems. It's a long-term commitment for us as developers and offers players rewards all along the way. One more important note, even though it's not an explicit pillar, wide adoption is a primary consideration for us as well. Most players should want a house in Azeroth, and if a player wants a house in Azeroth, they can have a house in Azeroth. Furthermore, housing is being designed to scale with the player's interest. If someone wants to spend dozens of hours each week in their house, that's great. If they're only interested in coming and going once or twice a month, that's great too. Okay, so there we go. So they want everyone to have access to it, and it not to be like, you don't have to do it, but you can do it, that kind of thing. Obviously, that's kind of their stance on things now. Zoning in on home. We've seen a lot of discussion and speculation from the community as where the players will be able to have houses. We decided early on that there would be 2 housing zones available at launch, meaning that they're probably going to add more eventually. One for Alliance and one for Horde, with more possible places to live in the future. The Alliance zone takes inspiration from Elwynn Forest with touches of Westfall and Duskwood, and the Horde is inspired by Durotar, its coastline, and Azshara. There are 2 main reasons for this decision. Having many housing zones conflicts with the second pillar of designing a feature that is deeply social. In a world where players can live in many different zones and become increasingly spread out, even with aggressive sharding, the chance of seeing other players, even with aggressive, of course they're going to spread out with aggressive sharding, the chance of seeing other players, much less interacting with them, drops quickly. Putting it bluntly, zones are a lot of work. We'd much rather do a great job with a smaller number of zones and do a passable job on a larger number, or come to solutions that take a player out of the world into their own personal instance of a zone, like garrisons. We chose these as our starting points because of how iconic they are in their respective factions and how much they feel like home to so many players already. We're excited to see what we'll be able to accomplish with 2 new zones, and we'll be sharing more of what this means in future updates. Outfitting your home. This is concept art. This one looks more like human or elvish, I guess. I don't know. Similarly, there have been discussions in the community on whether housing will be pay to play, win or not, along with other conversations around real-world money. We've been aligned in our internal conversations that housing is designed to be primarily player first and not revenue first. Housing will offer hundreds and hundreds of decorations and house customizations via in-game rewards, but will also offer a smaller number of items in the cash shop as well. This is comparable to how transmogs and pets are currently handled in the game versus the shop. We want to allow players to have as many options as possible for creating the perfect home in Azeroth. A home for everyone. As part of our focus of wide adoption, we wanted to ensure that housing is available to everyone. If you want a house, you can have a house. No exorbitant requirements or high purchase costs, no lotteries, and no onerous upkeep. And if your subscription lapses, don't worry, your house doesn't get repossessed. Your houses are also shared amongst your warband, and different characters being able to come and go as you see fit. So your orc character can hang out in your Alliance house without a problem. Housing rewards are also shared across your warband, so you'll be able to use your decor collection no matter which character earns it. That's good. Furthermore, it's not just warbands that cross factional lines, but friendships as well. So be able to live or visit your friends or guildmates' houses and their neighborhoods with minimum restrictions regarding faction. For example, while it's not possible for your human character to buy a house in the Horde Zone, your troll character in the same warband can, and then your human can use it as if they were their own. Will you be my neighbor? Before we go, we want to mention the concept of neighborhoods as a small tease. Houses are organized into roughly 50 plot neighborhoods, letting players live next to each other, work together, and share the rewards of being part of the neighborhood. Neighborhoods are instant, but crucially also persistent to your neighbors. Can be your neighbors for years to come, or until one of you moves. Neighborhoods come with two flavors: public neighborhoods, which the game servers are responsible for creating as needed and maintaining, and private neighborhoods, created by groups of friends or guilds who inhabit, progress, and customize together. So while an individual player can have a house, a community can have a neighborhood. So that's really cool for guilds. Okay, so that's a lot of information. Sorry for all that reading. So 3 pillars, that's fine. So the zones. So there's going to be a Alliance zone, a Horde zone. You can make a house in each if you have characters of each. So you could technically have 2 houses, I guess. Like, it's not going to be restricted there. So you can have an Alliance house and a Horde house based on what it was saying. Obviously, I mostly am into like the dwarf lore of World of Warcraft or whatever. So I would have loved to see Dun Morogh or something as an option, but maybe in the future that'll be the case. Especially as an Alliance player. But that's fine. It makes sense. They're starting small. They'll build up as they go. It makes sense, like, to launch like 8 zones of housing. That's like an expansion by itself. So that's the second one. Zones are a bunch of work. Outfitting your home. So tons of stuff to do. That's like what they're focusing on. And then the talk was about whether it's going to be pay to win or not. So basically 98% of stuff will be achievable by players by playing the game. And then, like, just like now, some of the stuff's going to be on the cash shop. Obviously that stuff will not hold as much value or whatever. Like, if I get a trophy for getting cutting edge or something and I hang that in there, I'm not going to care about whatever, a trophy that you get for buying in the cash shop or something like that, right? Like, there's going to be differences. And whatever you want, right? There's people who love the cash shop. Believe it or not, I it's hard for me to believe sometimes, but they exist, and I see it, and kudos to them because they keep the game going, I guess. But yeah, so they can have their whatever the rewards and whatever. It's fine as long as it's kind of similar to now. I don't care, like, right? Like, as long as it's not like everything good is in the cash shop, which is, you see that in a lot of games, right? Everything good's in the cash shop and then everything crappy isn't. So as long as it's even equal, I don't care. Home for everyone. This is again where they're talking about how your warbands can go to it. You can have a Horde character, Alliance character. That's all good, right? That doesn't make an exclusionary, and also you can visit the other faction. I'm assuming like you have to join their group or whatever, right? You join their group, then you can go into their home even though it's in the other faction. I guess that's probably how that works. And then the neighborhood thing, that's actually really cool because a lot of guilds are going to take advantage of this, right? And just communities in general, especially like RP communities. It's only 50 players, but that's, of course, think about having more than that with all the assets being moved around and stuff. That's going to be crazy. That would be crazy lag. So I think 50 is probably a fair place to start on that. So yeah, but the private neighbors created by groups of friends or guilds to inhabit, progress, or customize together. That's actually really cool. So I imagine my guild will have a neighborhood, right? I mean, that maybe not. A lot of people in my guild don't really like this kind of stuff, so maybe not. But I would join a guild. I would probably join a neighborhood that has some of my guild mates in it, even if it's not exclusively my guild, right? I think it's kind of cool, man. This isn't the main thing that I like in World of Warcraft. Obviously, like, that's not what even on my YouTube channel, it's not the content that I focus on. But I do think this is really cool. I think they're handling it in the right way, not trying to make it not exclusionary, make it so everybody can have a home. Everyone does have a home. If you don't have to, if your sub lapses, you don't lose your stuff. You just come back in and you still have your home. You still have all your stuff. I like that. It's just like this extra thing to do. For me, am I going to spend a ton of time doing this? No. Will I set it up initially and put my stuff in there? Any kind of like trophies or whatever that I get for certain achievements that I've gotten in the game, will I put those up? Of course I will, because I'm like at least a little bit proud of them. I don't care that it's just pixels. Like, I'm a little bit proud of some of my stuff I've done. So I would put that stuff up. I get a new achievement, get a new trophy, unlock it, whatever, hang that up, whatever, right? Something that comes out that's cool, update it. So like Do I see myself doing this a ton? No, I don't. But that's fine because I actually still think it's cool anyways, right? I also don't play The Sims a ton, but or since I was a kid really. But if I loaded up The Sims, would I have fun with it for a little bit? Yeah, sure, I would. Like anything's fun in moderation. Anything good is fun in moderation, and I do believe I will have fun with this. It's just not something I'm going to do all the time personally, but there's people that will be doing this all the time, and I think that's what's more important, right? It's not important what I'm going to be doing with it or what, you know, the high-end hardcore sweaty community is going to do with it. What's important is that the people that really want this, what they're going to do with it, and I hope it fits their standards and what they want in housing ultimately. Because this potential to have tons of stuff to do, right? If you have these neighborhoods, you could have a big event or a party or something like that, right? This things people like to do, role playing and stuff, right? GTA RP is like the most popular thing. So these are things that you can potentially get more into doing with this housing feature. It won't be perfect, of course, because like I said, there will be limits on it and everything like that. But you know, let's see where it goes. We have plenty of time before this actually comes out, of course. But yeah, this seems very promising. I you know, I'd like to look for maybe a negative in it, but I guess just maybe not being big enough, not enough zones, not enough that kind of stuff. But they explain their reasoning on why. Like they already understand that people are going to say that, and I think their reasoning's fine. So we'll see. You know, if I can build a little Dumb Moreau house or whatever, then I'll be more into it in the future when that comes. But yeah, I think this is great. I think this is like amazing actually. Like this, I haven't seen anybody else's takes on this yet, but I have to imagine it's going to be positive. I'll be blown away if not though. And that's probably what I'm going to do after I load this video, is go see what everyone else is saying about it. So yeah, that'll be it for this one, guys. As always, I do ask you to please subscribe to the channel. It helps me out so much. And other than that, everybody have a good one.